from home.
No, he's not going to make it. I think so. I just found out. Yeah. Hello and welcome to the El Cajon City Council meeting. The meeting is called to order. I'd like to ask our city clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Ortiz is absent. All others are present.
Would you all stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? And can I get one? Is there a police officer in the house? Can I get someone to come out and lead us in the pledge? Take a leadership role. Wow.
All right, hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. The city clerk has posted orders of adjournment of the December 9th, 2025 meeting and the agenda of the January 13th, 2026 meeting in accordance with state law, City Council and Housing Authority policy. Before we continue the meeting, I'd like to invite members of the public to attend the 2026 State of the City event. Join us as we reflect on the accomplishments of the past year and share what is coming in the year ahead. This will be held on Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. at the Ronald Reagan Community Center, located at 195 East Douglas Avenue. We have a proclamation on today's agenda for National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and I'd like to ask Chief Larson to come to the podium for the proclamation, which I will read.
Mayor, Chief Larson's out of town, but we have Captain Bates who's here.
Hello, Captain.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for coming. And thank everybody else for coming as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Could I read this
Please
proclamation, please? Whereas January 9th has been designated as National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day to honor the dedication, courage, and commitment of law enforcement officers who serve and protect our communities. Law enforcement officers risk their lives daily to uphold the safety, security, and well-being of our citizens, demonstrating unwavering devotion to justice and the rule of law. And whereas the men and women of the El Cajon Police Department, along with law enforcement agencies across our nation, work tirelessly to ensure peace, reduce crime, and build positive relationships with the communities that they serve, law enforcement officers embody the values of integrity, respect, and professionalism, and they work collaboratively with community members to address challenges, promote safety, and foster trust. And whereas it is essential to recognize the efforts and sacrifices of our local law enforcement officers and express our gratitude for their service to El Cajon and the greater San Diego County area, on National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, we encourage all citizens to take a moment to thank law enforcement officers for their selfless contributions to the safety and security of our city and nation. Now, therefore, I, Bill Wells, Mayor of the City of El Cajon, together with the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim January 9th, 2026, as National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day in the City of El Cajon, and urge all residents to join in showing appreciation and respect for the dedicated law enforcement officers who serve our community. Signed this 13th day of January, 2026. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. On behalf of the men and women of the El Cajon Police Department, I would like to thank you for recognizing us with this proclamation, and we appreciate the City Council's unwavering support of our police department, so thank you very much.
I'm sure everybody would like to say something, but I just want to personally say that when I'm out there in the community and I hear people talk about our police department, it's always with almost awe that people say what a great department we have. And I am so proud to say absolutely, it's a great group. I'm so proud that they are here with us. And I mean that. It's not just something politically to say. I have great admiration for each and every one of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Would you like to say anything? Anybody?
Well, I've never felt so safe anywhere. And I know you guys have a really difficult job. You put your life on the line every single day, and I really appreciate what you do. I've been on several ride-alongs, and I'm amazed at how you look both ways at the same time, down the alleys and in front of you, and listening to radio calls coming in, and everyone that I went with on the ride-alongs are also very kind-hearted, and you're just a wonderful group of people, so thank you so much for what you do.
I love how the department is a leader in technology. License plate readers, the drones, other kind of equipment that probably I don't know about that's being used to catch bad guys. I love how you are leaders and you go for these things because they all put together keep us a whole lot safer. You all have more patience than probably 99.5% of the population. How you keep your cool in all these situations in the city of El Cajon is unreal, so kudos to you all.
I am very appreciative of the men and women on our police force. I've had conversations with many of you. I've been in meetings with many of you, and I've been at events where you're interacting with the public. And it's always been great. I love seeing our officers interacting with the kids. It's a special relationship that we have with our community. I thank you. As a former first responder, I appreciate all that you do because I depended on you as an EMT. I depended on the men and women of law enforcement to make sure that I was safe so that I could get my patient out of drastic situations. So thank you very much. We do appreciate all that you do. Know that you have our support. And carry on, do the good work that you do.
Thank you, sir. Would you like to say anything?
No? Are we going to take a photo, or how do we do
Yeah,
this?
let's take a photo. You know what? Can we get all the uniformed
Yeah, I'd like
folks to
that.
come down in
Yeah.
front, and we could take a big photo?
Got it. Thank you. Good to see you. Sir? Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, that's nice. All right, staff, do we have any agenda changes?
No, sir.
How about council members? All right. That brings us to consent items. Consent items are routine matters enacted by one motion according to the recommendation listed below. With the concurrence of the city council, a council member or person in attendance may request discussion of a consent item at this time. Council members, do you want to pull any of the consent items? And how about staff?
No, sir.
All right. Angela, do you have any speaker cards for consent items?
No speaker card, sir.
All right, I'd like to make a motion then to approve the consent items.
Second.
All right, please vote.
Motion carries. Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
That brings us to public comment. At this time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council, Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are already be taken at the time that the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, City Council and Housing Authority members may briefly respond to statements or questions, and an item may be placed on a future agenda. Angela, do we have any speaker cards for public comment?
We have one, sir, from Patricia Burnt.
Hello, Patricia, welcome.
Oh, hi, Mayor Wells. Nice to see you all. My quick speech is twofold. First thing, I want to address the protests out on Fletcher Parkway in Magnolia. There's been some violence happening there. I went to the police today to file my own report, and there was already a report filed yesterday. A man basically verbally assaulted me that he would run me over with his vehicle.
Wow.
The one the day before, and theirs was things being thrown at them, and then I think somebody else had their car ransacked by a passerby. And we all try to be pro-MAGA and, have good dialogue. So I'm wondering what City of El Cajon or the police could do to address this. This is not going to be a conversation we're going to have an answer to today, but we need to build these relationships where the City Council, the police, the community understand, because it's fine you all work in these jobs and talk to each other, but the community at large, we don't understand our rights, okay, to a large degree. We can read these different things, but I want to have more dialogue, more openness, and some safety on Fletcher Parkway, Magnolia there, and welcoming all people that have a different point of view. So that's my one point of reference. I did not get the ID. I don't want to go into specifics. I'm working with the newspaper. We're trying to find this one guy, and then we're trying to identify for the future what we're going to do. The second part of what I want to talk about is, what is El Cajon going to be doing like this? Today, San Diego County Council has ordinance number 8 talking about what's called the CLEAR ordinance.
Yeah.
I'm hoping there's something going to spill over here. We can have conversations that leave the offices, because most of us are out there, we have all different levels of education. I want it to be where an elementary school person can understand what's going on. There's so much confusion. ICE is breaking rules. And when the police come on scene, quite often, the person that's being attacked by ICE, they're getting arrested, their car's impounded. They're assuming, the police often, from what I'm seeing, are assuming ICE is correct. So we need some clarity, accountability, and I think we need to ultimately get to a place where the citizens can understand this at elementary school level reading and, comprehension. So another note, my last name is Zambrano, my maiden name. So my brother and sister, they live in Texas. They are terrified there because MS-13 has been triggered to that name in Oregon. Okay, so that's my maiden name, and there's another one in San Diego who's gotten pulled in. But anyway, they're just terrified. I have relatives that, I'm not typically Mexican or whatever, but I'm Hispanic. So whatever, the situation is people are terrified and we're not communicating. So I've talked to people, and the goal is to build relationships up front so we can prevent the problem happening, what's happening in Minneapolis. I think we need upfront conversations, easy dialogue, and some media out there. I got a newspaper today that's going to print a story, but she was more focused on what happened with the violence. So those are two things I want to see that happen in our East County community and throughout San Diego. I want more people to jump on board with that. So that's all I have to say.
Well, I just want to tell you that it is a difficult time right now for the entire nation. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And there's a debate going on as to what the right thing and what the wrong thing is to do. And I don't think that's going to be easily solved.
Right.
However, you just saw these police officers here. I know that each and every one of them are dedicated to keeping everybody safe, no matter what side of the issue you're on. And when we certainly will have no tolerance for people threatening or people attacking other people in any way. We all have to know our lane, and in regards to the federal government, they have their lane, so they're going to do what they need to do. But we will keep the peace.
Remember, state law has a very powerful presence under the Constitution. So I want to see communication, and I lost my other train of thought. anyway, it was important, but I can't think of it. I know my time is up.
That's okay.
It's super important that we address these issues. I was downtown Thursday at the 880 Front Street. I didn't realize it was the ICE building too. I know it's the IRS building. I'm a CPA. But the point is, it was a little traumatic, you know. And here I'm being attacked, and I'm in a mourning phase with my sign, has glitter on it, saying, "Rest in peace, Renee Good." And just one guy, there's a lot of these guys out there. I know what I was going to say. He just stopped, took the time to stop, put his window down, flipped me off, and said next time he sees me, he's running me over with his vehicle. Okay, I've had 3 assaults since last January, but this is not about me. I went to Carl DeMaio's event. I said, and I was Republican in January, okay, but I changed back to Republican. I change party all the time. I go to Carl's town hall, VFW. He sounds very professional. I'm like, yeah, I really like Carl. He's a good guy. Well, it gets into now he's calling, what's he saying? All the people that aren't MAGA are suddenly Antifa. They're radical, liberal. I mean, they're just bad, evil people, right? And all the Prop 50 had to do with, okay. So in that meeting, this guy, one of his volunteers, pushed me, okay, and I decided that I was going to file charges yesterday after I thought about what happened Saturday. I'm going to go back and file charges on that guy. Well, they have it on video, and the witness came out, the commander of VFW talked to me. She goes, wow, and the other lady said, I was right there, I witnessed the guy pushing you. Because I said, you know, we're about the United States, guys. We got to love one another, and Carl, that's what this is about, so stop dividing us. And I said, Antifa's an ideology, not a group. And on that note, I'm going to remove myself from the room. Have a nice night, you all. Remember, we're the United States, not red, not blue. So this man pushes me. Anyway, I'll deal with that. I'm going to have a meeting with Carl over that. Yeah. But we need to reach out to the average, everyday person that may have a 6th grade education or whether they have a graduate degree, and not just keep it in the halls of city council and on websites and in police departments. We have to engage the community right now. People are terrified. My family is terrified. You know, I get calls. I just got a call before I get here. They're terrified, you know, and we have to help somehow. That's the only reason I'm here. I got to go back to work too. But thank you for the extra time,
Thanks for coming.
Bill.
I really appreciate it.
What's that?
Thank you for coming. Okay.
No other speakers, sir.
Okay, let's move on then. We have no written communications and no public hearings on today's agenda. We have 4 administrative reports on today's agenda. Item 10 is the annual comprehensive financial report, and staff will tell us about this. Hello, Clay.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, distinguished members of the City Council. My name is Clay Shane. I'm the Director of Finance for the City of El Cajon. Happy to be here today to present the fiscal year 25 annual comprehensive financial report. You'll hear me refer to it as the ACFR, maybe as the CAFR, a few times during this presentation. So today's presentation will include a brief introduction of the ACFR and its component parts. And then at the end of that summary, staff recommends that the City Council receives and accept the ACFR. The document is available on the city's website, elcajon.gov. The ACFR is prepared in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles and adheres to the pronouncements of the Government Accounting Standards Board. This document is prepared primarily with a focus on the comparability between state and local governments and is comprised of 3 sections: the introductory section, the financial section, and the statistical section. The introductory section includes the letter of transmittal and the description of the organizational structure of the city. The financial section includes the independent auditor's report. Pleased to share that the FY25 audit opinion was a clean, unmodified opinion. This section also includes the management discussion and analysis, basic financial statements, the notes to the financial statements, and required supplementary information. The last section is the statistical section. This section contains quite a bit of trend information related to the city's financial trends, revenue capacity, debt capacity, demographic and economic information, as well as other operating information. After I've answered any questions you have, staff recommends that the City Council receives and accepts the fiscal year 25 ACFR. That completes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Questions? No, I think that's very clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
And please thank your department for all the hard work.
Certainly will.
Angela, do we have any speaker cards about this?
There are no speakers for this item.
All right. If there's no further discussion, looking for a motion.
I'll move we accept and receive the ACFR and other written communications from the auditor.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Financial reporting?
Well, we received an award recently for our homeless dashboard, actually, for being transparent on how we're spending our funding when it comes to homelessness. And so it's something that they've been pushing other agencies to do, and we are taking the lead in being innovative in that area.
Great job the staff has done.
Okay. Item 11 is regarding the encampment storage program, and our city manager, Graham Mitchell, will tell us all about this.
There we go. Hello, Mayor and members of the City Council. During a meeting in last July when staff was presenting our semi-annual homeless report, the council asked the staff to provide a little bit more detail about a storage program that we might or may not want to implement, and ask for some more information about it. Since that time, staff has reached out to some other cities. We've identified potential costs for ongoing costs and upfront costs. We also evaluated some of the benefits and drawbacks. Just so the council has an understanding of what we do now. So right now when we do our dedicated 2 times per week encampment cleanups, we allow individuals to collect their personal belongings and then to take those personal belongings when they move along to another location. That process does take a little bit of time sometimes, but we give people plenty of opportunity to take the things that are important to them. Whatever's left behind is determined to be rubbish. A lot of that is soiled clothes or contaminated food or contaminated items, and then that is disposed of through our normal trash system. What an encampment storage program would do is, rather than that process, we would collect everybody's belongings, and we would go through a process in which we would identify what is a valuable item of $50 or more, or what's a personal item like a birth certificate or a driver's license. And then we would determine what is garbage, and then we would throw away the garbage, and then we would physically store the personal items at a facility in the city of El Cajon. And the homeless individual would have up to 60 days, or in some cases 90 days, to retrieve that item. If the item is not retrieved, it is then discarded like we would have normally discarded. One of the things that we learned through this process is the time it takes in going through someone's belongings. A lot of cities that have these programs pretty much turn on a body-worn camera and film the whole process. So if there's ever a dispute about what was thrown away, what was not thrown away, what was included, what was not included, it's there on video. But every personal item is tagged, photographed, identified, and connected with that individual. So when that individual comes to collect it, it's able to be retrieved by that individual. Staff determined that the initial cost to establish a cement pad, fencing, storage area, some sort of an awning, so the protection from the elements, that would cost between $1 and $1.75 million to establish the facility, most likely at the Public Works Yard. And then there would be an ongoing cost. We would need to bring on a almost like an evidence clerk to capture all this information and to maintain and manage it. And we believe that cost would be between about $90,000 and $120,000. Based on this cost, based on the value that we believe that it doesn't really bring a lot of value to what above and beyond what we're currently doing. And in fact, we don't see it helping get homeless individuals off the street. It's almost feels like it's another effort to provide janitorial service. At this point, staff's not recommending we move forward with it, but staff's here to answer any questions that you may have about the program.
Thanks, Graham. Questions? Nobody? Yeah.
This is probably more of a legal question. So would we be allowed just to put their stuff in a bin and lock the bin without inventorying everything? A locked bin?
No, so agencies aren't allowed to seize property unless it's essentially abandoned property, it's evidence of a crime, it's contraband. There's classifications of different kinds of property and when an agency is allowed to seize that from an individual. So the city's not partaking in seizing, property that's considered valuable at this point in time. They're disposing of abandoned property. So just throwing everything into a bin and locking it, it probably wouldn't be recommended that the city just do that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Jeff? No, Gary. Any speaker cards for this item?
No speaker card, sir.
Okay. Bring it back to council. Would somebody like to make a motion or engage in discussion?
I got a couple of discussion.
Yeah, sure.
I brought this up back in July, looking for a way to address the habitual people who continuously turn down our offers of service and help. And it's creating that the city knows that residents are frustrated with the amount of trash and debris that are left behind by those who continually decline help and just want to live on the street free of anybody's rules. The thought was, if we get assertive and arrest these people like we used to, and store whatever property they had, would it change the behavior of somebody saying, well, maybe I won't stay in El Cajon. They seem to arrest me, take me downtown, I get out right away, I have to come back to El Cajon, I have to go get my property. Would that hassle change these habitual minor few people who create problems in the city? And I think we're hearing that the administrative part of this storage thing is difficult. But I'd like to at least acknowledge we looked at it, to say we're trying everything. We're thinking of, I mean, if you're talking spitballing, we've got a wall full of spitballs of ideas that we're trying to, vet. We're still back to, what do we do with a person who doesn't want to live by anybody's rules, wants to leave behind debris, wants to create problems in a neighborhood, and I think we're running out of enforcement options. It's kind of up to the state at this point to say, these people need mental health help. These people need to get clean and sober, and we don't get the funds to enforce or enact that. That's the frustration. Even in the program you mentioned here, some cities said they don't want transient individuals going to a city public works yard because that sometimes has created problems for other things. So now you have to deliver the items over there for securing and back to a neutral place like the police parking lot. That just seems insurmountable administratively. I'm trying to think of other options, but I think we're kind of stuck. The frustration about homelessness is billions of dollars. I saw the other day $24 billion from 2019 to 2024 in California on homelessness. And we have more today than we used to have. Somebody's getting rich off of addressing homelessness, and it's not helping the people who are homeless, and it's not helping the community, but somebody's making a lot of money, quote unquote, addressing the problem, and I hope someday we flush that out with more transparency.
Totally agree with you. Anybody else?
Yeah, a lot of that stuff they leave behind is infested with vermin. I mean, roaches, roach eggs, fleas, and all sorts of bad things. So that would be a terrible job to have to sort through that stuff. So I think we do enough. In fact, we do more than any other cities regarding homelessness right now. So I think we're doing a good job, and we don't need to spend any more money for a program like that.
Anybody else? Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I mean, I think there's only so many dollars, and probably treatment options and enforcement options are probably more useful. So I agree with you.
But for $24 billion, why haven't they been treated? Why aren't there more treatment facilities? I'm saying rhetorically.
Yeah.
Why aren't there more treatment facilities? Why aren't there more mental health facilities for $24 billion? It's.
Is it possible they don't really want to solve the problem?
I can see there's a conflict of interest of not wanting to solve the problem.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Mr. Mayor.
Anyway, it's going to devolve into a political discussion, but yeah. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to receive the report, and there's no direction on this, but thank you for a thorough analysis and the staff for calling other cities. It does help fill gaps for us.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
All right, item 12 is a report on arrests and enforcement under Prop 36, and staff will tell us about this.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. The Proposition 36 was a law that reformed other laws that had dramatically increased homelessness, drug addiction, and theft throughout California, while giving judges the tools and flexibility they needed to address these issues. It came into effect in December of 2024, and last year was the first year that we were actually able to kind of analyze and compare some of the statistics that we had. So since Prop 36's overwhelming passage by California voters, the city police department has aggressively enforced the laws addressed by the proposition. In turn, we've seen that it's been a very positive thing, and the passage of Prop 36 and the proactive efforts made by the police department to book people into jail when appropriate has had a positive impact on our community. There's three main sections to Prop 36 that like to talk about. The first one is 11395 of the Health and Safety Code, which is the hard drugs with 2 prior convictions, possession of hard drugs with 2 prior convictions. And so Prop 36 changed the law so that now when contacting somebody on the street with possession of hard drugs, officers have the ability to arrest that person if they have prior convictions and book them into jail on a felony and not just a misdemeanor. Those designated hard drugs are things like fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine. Not included would be cannabis or marijuana, peyote, LSD. The second section is the 666.1 of the Penal Code, which is petty theft with 2 prior convictions. And that changed the law, allowing the arrest for a felony for somebody who has already been arrested for 2 prior petty theft and has convictions for 2 prior petty thefts. And the fourth one is the 490.3 PC, which is the aggregate value where the theft of goods is over $950, and it can be from multiple different offenses that add up to the $950. So a year-over-year comparison shows that crime in the city is down. In 2025, there are significant reductions in the following areas, including robbery, which is down 32%, commercial burglary, which was down about 31.5%, and theft of $400 or less, or petty theft, was down approximately 24%. There was also decreases in auto theft of around 11%, and grand theft, which was right about 20%. So in 2025, the total arrests for Proposition 36 for drug-related offenses was 363, and this is by our department, and arrests for Prop 36 theft-related offenses was 42. and I can answer any questions that you might have.
Thanks very much. I appreciate your report. Any questions?
Just a comment. That's a huge accomplishment, so kudos to our police. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have any knowledge of what our retailers are saying? Home Depot, some of the other people who were drugstores that were...
We have a very good working relationship with our retailers, and the arrests that we've made, I mean, Prop 36, it also acts as a deterrent. And so they know that before people were just walking into places and they would just walk out and know that there was no consequence. And now they know that they might go to jail, especially if they've stolen things in the past. And so as far as I know, the retailers, think it's a great thing.
And it seems to be that people who are committing these crimes, the word's out that El Cajon's kind of tough on this.
Yes, sir.
That's good. Thank you.
Anybody else? Just one question. Are you having any trouble booking people in the jail?
No trouble, sir. No.
Great. Yep. Thanks for your report.
Okay.
Very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
Angela, do we have any speaker cards on this?
We do, sir. One from Ashkan Jones.
Hello. Welcome.
Hi, Mayor, City Council members, and members of the public. Thank you today. I'm Cajon Jones, representing Assembly Member Dr. Lachey Sharp-Collins from the 79th Assembly District. On this item, first, we want to thank city staff for preparing this report and bringing this item forward. This issue is one of the most important to the Assembly member. It's one of her top legislative and district priorities, and we really appreciate the city's attention to it. We also appreciate the El Cajon Police Department's role in generating the frontline data here, essential for the report on arrests and enforcement under Prop 36. Our office regularly hosts Prop 36 quarterly Prop 36 roundtable discussion, bringing together representatives from the Sheriff's Office, District Attorney's Office, Public Defender's Office, Probation Department, and Behavioral Health, which we would love to also include the staff or police from the city of El Cajon in. These discussions focus on reviewing Prop 36 data across the entire 79th Assembly District and identifying trends, challenges, and gaps in services across the county. The data is critically important because it helps us to evaluate the real-world impacts of Prop 36 since its passage last year. And we really appreciate the city's efforts to release this report, and as it will provide valuable insight that can inform policy decisions and resource allocation at both the local and the state level. So please feel free to share any concerns or ideas with our office, and let us know if there's any way we can assist. The Assembly member's office is always available, and if anybody has any questions, anyone can reach our district office at 619-465-7903. Thank you.
Please thank the Assembly member for caring about this.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
No other speaker, sir.
Okay, then let's bring it back to the council. We can have discussion or a motion.
I'll move we receive the report with gratitude.
Second.
All right, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
The last administrative report, item 13, is regarding Senate Bill 707. Staff, please tell us about this.
1 second, please.
Perfect.
Mayor, Council, my name's Sarah Diaz, Director of IT for the city here. We're going to be talking about Senate Bill 707, which was a refresh of some of the issues around the Brown Act, and is adding a more technology focus to some of those Brown Act requirements. What we'd like to talk about today is how that is going to impact technology spend during this fiscal year, and what we're looking for at the end is some guidance with a couple of options for how we can proceed with procurement. And so we'll go through those options, and then at the end, the recommendation will be for you guys to let us know how you think we should proceed. So SB 707 was passed in October of 2025. We first heard about it from Mr. DiMaggio in his legislative report in October. It covers some key things having to do with open meetings. The biggest one, in our opinion, is for the public to be able to participate with two-way communication from anywhere, no longer requiring them be in the room for comments, not just public comments, but for any items on the agenda. Because of this requirement for open meetings remotely, there is some very specific wording about internet or technology services disruptions. Basically, if there is any disruption like the one we had in October, we have to do a best case effort to try and fix the problem for up to an hour before we can resume the meeting without that technology. So in our opinions, that's something that we have to put a lot of investment into making sure that everything works solid, because we don't want these long pauses in these meetings. SB 707 does call for translation assistance. That is basically any member of the public can request assistance with translation, and we'll do our best effort to help them out. There is a clause for agenda translation based on our population metrics from the last census. And it encourages local outreach with the hope that part of the population that doesn't normally participate in meetings may become more involved in our public meetings. Okay, so let's talk about the impact of this. First and foremost, there's a very short deadline to become in compliance. It's July 1st, 2026, which is the first day of our next fiscal year. So what that means is any preparations we need to do pretty much now. We need to have it in place for the first meeting in July, basically. And that would be Planning Commission or City Council. The costs are estimated at approximately $400,000. And what that includes, the biggest part of that absolutely is chamber upgrades. If you've ever noticed people are way too close to the microphone, it's time to upgrade the microphones, but what we have to do is make this room also work well in that two-way webinar environment so that our citizens can see and hear what's going on, and we can hear them when they are speaking. So that's the largest part of this spend, is getting the chamber ready for that. So it's chamber technology upgrades. We also need to do redundancy to avoid meeting delays. How we're interpreting that is having our community room as a backup chambers with a lot of the same technology, so that if this room was down, we could still meet the requirements by moving to that other room. We also are working on some internet connections to make sure that our internet is solid so that we have that connection to them. Of a smaller but still significant is website updates, new procedures for requesting translation services, and it's very specific about what information we need to provide to the public so that they know how to access our meetings. So because we have to move so quickly, what we're looking for input from the council is procurement options. Normally in a procurement that is over $200,000, that dollar amount would trigger a formal bidding procedure. Now that formal bidding procedure could be waived by City Council, which is why we're here, if there is a special circumstance and it's in the city's best interest to waive those requirements. So I'm going to walk you through the situation we're in, kind of the pros and the cons, and then that's the decision we're looking for from you guys. So the normal process is a request for proposal for a project like this. Basically, we develop a document describing our needs. It goes out to vendors. They decide if they're going to respond. They come, they look at the building, they spend time doing the design, and they give us a proposal with a dollar amount. There is set criteria for scoring that, and we pick the proposal that best suits our needs. The very fastest I've ever seen this done is 5 to 6 months. For a project like this, I would actually estimate that it might take a little bit longer, just because, for example, to get a very initial idea of what it would cost, kind of a rough order of magnitude for this building, it took us almost 2 months to get quotes back. There's issues with supply chain, and there are also issues with every single municipality in the state of California is in the same boat as us. So there's a lot of competition for vendor time and attention. So 5 or 6 months, we could possibly get a contract and be ready to go, but that doesn't include purchasing the equipment, installing the equipment, testing the equipment, and training. So our concern is that if we go for the request for proposal, it is possible that we may not have this room ready for the first meeting in July. Now, the other alternative is a sole source. So basically, if you determine that there's a special circumstance, you could authorize that for us. We have a contract and a vendor that we solicited via the request for proposal process back in 2024. In fact, it was approved in June of 2024. We closed out the project just about this time last year. It was for the community room upgrade as well as some other rooms at the police department, so a very similar scope. The company was EIDIM Group, and that's who we reached out to get the rough order of magnitude initial quote to understand what this room may cost. So the pros of contracting with EIDIM via sole source, the biggest one is absolutely timeliness. It will still take us a little bit of time to figure out the exact scope and the needs of the room. Going through a sole source process would give us that time to get it done, plus order equipment, plus do installation. There's no guarantees, but we think that we can hit that July deadline if we go this route. The other thing that's really important is if the community room is going to be our backup council chambers, it's really important that the two rooms operate in a very similar manner for training and upkeep, and for Angela's staff as well as council and everybody else that uses this room. If we have to move over because of an outage very quickly and resume a meeting, we need that to look and feel and operate the same way, just for our sanity. And then again, this is a previously selected vendor via a competitive process. So it's not like we just pulled a vendor off the street. This has already gone through that competitive procurement process that went through the checks and balances back in 2024. Okay, so we have two recommendations. The one is you could either adopt the next resolution, which would waive those bidding requirements, and then that would allow us to talk with EIDIM, make sure that we have a good scope, and then enter into a contract that would be signed by Graham Mitchell. Or you could say, no, it's more important that we stick with our standard practice, which is that competitive procurement process, understanding that we may not make that July deadline. And at that point, that's my report. I'm here for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Sarah. Questions? Michelle?
Hi, thank you, sir, for the report. Question, what is the consequence for not meeting the deadline?
Unknown. They have not said what the consequence is.
Okay. And Are there any, do you know if there are any grants out there to help with the, defray some of the cost?
This is an unfunded mandate. So no.
Okay. And the next one, we've talked about upgrading, modernizing the council chambers. Would this work if we go with our sole source? Have we worked with them before?
Yes, they did the community room.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm sorry, you did
Yeah.
say that. Okay, so since we've talked about modernizing the council chambers, would this be something, the work that they're going to do to meet this bill, would it also help us to be more modern? And
Yes.
can we adjust that as we move along in the modernization process?
Yes, the equipment that is in the back room is approximately 20 years old. We did a slight refresh during COVID in 2021, mostly for the cameras. But even the monitors and the voting system, all of that from 2021 is still based on an old technology because that's what we had 20 years ago. So the idea is the base system is going to be modernized to something that's a lot more flexible.
Okay.
And in doing that, we're able to now go with modern microphones that have canceling intelligence and so forth. So it gets us to that next step that then opens up a lot more. Our goal is hopefully not to have to do this again for a while, which is why we would take care and involve several stakeholders in making sure the design is what would work for us. But yes, it is getting us to a modern technology, which I would say this room is currently not.
Thank you.
I thought the state law says you have to reimburse cities for a law that on cities that results in a cost. Is this every city in California?
That's true, unless the legislature puts at the very bottom of the bill,
We're not
we
gonna
shall
pay
not
for it.
reimburse you. And they figured that out. That's how you get around all these unfunded state mandates.
You'd have
So-
to litigate it, basically.
Correct.
Yeah, that's probably not worth it. I'm thinking supply chain here for a second. Every city is competing for the same equipment in a sense. So I'm tending to lean towards sole source to get it going now rather than wait and compete with a bunch of other cities who don't have the advantage that we have, and they're all competing for a dwindling amount of supply chain equipment.
Yeah, not only equipment, but expertise, because it takes a lot of, it's a very specific resource that programs these systems. So both are going to be an issue as far as timeliness, yes.
So whenever there's an urgency, that's usually associated with a higher cost, a premium, because you want it so fast.
Right.
What can you tell us? Do you sense there's a premium in the 400,000?
Well, the beauty of piggybacking off of or using or referring back to this previous contract is they are offering us the pricing that we negotiated back in 2024. So we avoid any of those premiums. Now, they're usually percentages off of a base cost, so I can't do anything if the manufacturer ups the cost, but what I can control and what is controlled in this solution is the percentage overhead that our reseller is charging us.
Will we need an increase in operating costs of this new system?
So our goal with this 400,000 is to get it in place and get a few years of maintenance into it. We do normally budget in our supplies and services for ongoing maintenance. Until I get the final design, I can't tell you if that's going to be an increase or not, but our goal is this 400,000 hopefully has enough padding in it based on what we looked at initially, that we should be able to cover a few years and get us until we have to put it into our supplies and services for ongoing support.
Do you think we'll need an increase in headcount to operate this equipment?
No.
Okay, thank you. Carrie?
Yeah, this sounds like a good way to go with the sole source. because the other people, other cities, if they're going through the bidding process, they're going to get it later than us, and they might actually being charged higher than what we do when we're ready to do it right now.
Right. And that is definitely the risk with going through the classic procurement channel, yes.
So we got a certain amount of certainty because we've done business with them before. They've looked at our system, and
Yep, they've looked at our system and they're honoring their previous contracted rates.
yeah, and we've had a bit of inflation since then too.
Yeah.
Okay, this sounds like a good idea to me.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we go with the sole source on this agenda item,
So that would be option number 1.
option number 1.
Please vote.
And for the record, sir, there are no speaker cards for this, and motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Good luck with all this.
Not to mention that I trust Sarah completely. She's done a great job for us over the years. Thank you, Sarah.
All right. We have no commissioner reports on today's agenda. Item 14 is my activities report. Item 15 is the reports for council members, and we'll start with Councilmember Goebel.
As reported.
Councilmember Kendrick. And Councilmember Deputy Mayor Mitchell.
As reported with an addition, I attended the NECA Gala on Saturday.
There are no joint council member reports, no general information items, no first or second reading of ordinances on today's agenda. And that brings us to closed session. The city attorney will recite the titles and lead us into the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The council will adjourn to closed session to discuss items 19, closed session related to conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. Number 20, closed session, conference with labor negotiators. Item 21, closed session, conference with real property negotiators. And there's one addition on item number 20. As an agency designated representative, the city would like to add Vince DiMaggio, Assistant City Manager, as one of the designated representatives. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn to closed session. Second. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Ladies
By
and gentlemen, we're going
unanimous
to go into
vote.
closed session. We'll come back shortly to conclude the meeting. Thank you. look at that. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back from closed session. I will ask our city attorney to report on closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council met on items 19 through 21 as listed on the agenda. Direction was given, no reportable action was taken. And for the record, Councilmember Ortiz arrived at 4:05 p.m. and participated in all three items, 19 through 21. Thank you.
This brings us to the adjournment, the joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council, El Cajon Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency, held this 13th day of January 2026, is adjourned until Tuesday, January 27th, 2026 at 3 o'clock p.m. Thank you very much.